On Tuesday night, Boro's winning form at home came to an end as we dropped points to in-form Stoke, drawing 1-1 with results on Wednesday, ensuring that the gap to automatic promotion has grown once again back to 6 points.
As the Uruguayan curls one in. Oh, Middlesbrough take the lead!
What is up guys, Matthew here and welcome back to another episode of Project Boro, where today I'm going to be discussing Boro's 1-1 draw at home to Stoke City on Tuesday night, which was a game I was at, a game in which I'm surprised I never caught hypothermia, it was freezing, and a game in which Boro's winning form at home came to an end. Now, heading into the game, I think I said it in my last episode and I was saying it to a couple of guys before the game as well, I felt really nervous about this game. Stoke were just in great form. Like I said, they'd had some great results away at Sunderland, some great results at home to Blackburn, and for the first time seemed like they'd finally been clicking and had found consistency, and I honestly thought it was going to be a really tight game, and if we were going to win it, it was going to be really, really edgy. I did believe if we score first we would have done enough, but we conceded in a really, really crucial part of the game, which I think set the tone, really, for the rest of the second half especially. But, yeah, we come into this game, we'd won 7 home games in a row, Stoke come into it in great form, and Boro had the chance to close the gap, at least, to Sheffield United, to 1 point for 24 hours, at least, pile the pressure on a little bit, and we were good in the first 10-15 minutes, I'd say. I think we started the game really well. I think that was the period in which we had to kill the game off. I think Chuba, capitalised on a mistake by one of their defenders, was briefly in one-on-one but put his shot wide. Not too long, I think it might have been later, I'm not sure if it was before or later, but had another great effort that hit the bar, and I feel like one of them 2 chances had to go in. And Boro's dominance in the early goings did lead to a goal of sorts. We weren't the only side though. Stoke did have some really good chances. Hoover, who went on to score for them, had a great chance when the ball was played across the box, and he kind of just sliced it wide as he ran onto it, and maybe should have hit the target, maybe should have scored, but Boro took the lead and it was a great counter-attacking goal. It was all from Chuba Akpom, who nicked the ball in the midfield, and it was a quick counter-attack. Ramsey to McGree cutting back, playing it to Akpom, who slotted it beautifully into the far corner. And usually you'd think we're in control. At home, we can control, dictate the game, go into another gear and finish the game off. But once Boro scored, we just weren't the same team. It was really strange, and I don't think I've ever seen a Michael Carrick Boro team feel and look this disconnected. Never before have I seen a team misplace so many passes, just not be on the same wavelength. We were trying to play the ball inside, trying to play the ball forward to the likes of Ramsey or Archer or Akpom, who normally can hold it up, can turn and turn the defender and get him behind, but they were on their heels too many times, and you've got to credit Stoke, really. Their pressing was fantastic. Every time we played the ball into one of our attackers, they were right on their back. The ball just wasn't sticking to a Boro player. Our touches were heavy. Ricochets were going their way. We were knocking the ball out of play, and we just didn't look like a team who'd played together before. After that, Stoke grew into the game, and we were hanging on as the half went on. And I thought to myself, when they were on top towards the end of the half, I thought we just need to get in half-time 1-0. And if Boro had got in at half-time 1-0, regrouped, come back out, took control second half, they might have had to have come out a little bit more, and maybe we could have caught them on the counter-attack or something. I feel like the game may have suited us a little bit better, but just on the brink of half-time, a switch across to the right-hand side, and I will say Stoke did this a lot, and it worked extremely well for them on Tuesday. They kept switching it diagonally over both of our fullbacks, and that was how they kept getting down the side and getting the ball across and into and around the box, and it was really effective. And it was one of them switches again, and Giles must have missed it by an inch. You could even hear it skim his hair as it went over his head, and he chose to commit to the header. He didn't get it. If he hadn't have got it, I think he would have got back and covered. But he just missed it. He committed, didn't get the ball, and Hoover, who has scored, I don't think he'd scored for Stoke before the Blackburn game, and he got a brace there, and he got another one here. It was a great finish between the legs of Zach Steffen, and on the brink of half-time, we were pegged back, and I felt like that was just a sucker punch I just didn't see us recovering from. And as the second half went on, I thought maybe we'd come out, regroup and go again and get a grip of the game, but we didn't. Second half was no better. In fact, it was probably even worse. Again, misplacing passes, heavy touches, just not on the same wavelength at all. And Stoke were by far the better team. They were in control. We didn't really create much in the second half at all, and they created a number of chances. And we have Zach Steffen to thank massively for making some really crucial saves and keeping us in it, especially towards the end of the game. And it got to the full-time whistle, and the frustration was just growing. I said this in my last episode. Maybe Stoke could frustrate us and make it difficult, and that's exactly what happened. The fans were getting frustrated with how many misplaced passes we were making. I mean, we couldn't string 2 passes together, and the fans were getting frustrated. That was making the players probably a little bit more on edge, a little bit more desperate. It gave Stoke confidence, I feel, and we just never looked like scoring a second goal. And if anything, they looked like maybe scoring the winner. So when the full-time whistle went, there was frustration, but I think we kind of come away from it thinking they're a team in form. They're a team who, put 5 past Sunderland. They're in a great place, and maybe that's a good point. Against a team who are playing extremely well. And, end of the day, we have to remember we've won 7 in a row at home, and we can't win them all. Carrick's win percentage has been 70+% since he came in. The form's been ridiculous. We've not drawn a game since November. We're winning mostly every week, and I was speaking to my friend Johnny, who is the host of the Boro Breakdown podcast, so I will shout them out now. Check them out if you aren't already. And he said something to me which made perfect sense. He said to me, the problem with Boro, weirdly, the worst thing we could have done in a way was become so good at home, because the expectations have kind of been raised now to the point to which if we don't beat everyone at home, we're coming away from the game thinking that we weren't that great, or it wasn't good, or we were, what's going on, what's Carrick doing? Success, I guess, breeds overconfidence and maybe complacency from the fans' perspective, in the sense that I think we maybe go into every home game assuming we're going to win it, assuming that we'll just get the result, no matter who the team is who rocks up. And you've got to give it to Stoke. I thought they were absolutely fantastic, and it was one of the best away performances I've seen at the Riverside this season, in how they played, how they passed the ball, how they managed the game, how they frustrated the fans. They kept interrupting play, never allowed us to get into our rhythm at any point. And it was the perfect away performance, and you can only give them credit, really. They are within their right. Another team's always going to rock up and try and compete and spoil the party, and that's what they did. So instead of losing the game, which on another day maybe a Boro side of a few months ago would have lost that game, we didn't. We drew, and we come away with something, which was a point. And it was a bad performance, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just very, very average and below the immense standards we've set ourselves. But every time we've had a below par performance, we've bounced back immediately under Carrick, and we have another home game at the weekend to hopefully do just that. But, however, on Wednesday, or tonight as I'm recording this, but the night after, Sheffield United went to Sunderland and had the opportunity to reopen a larger gap. Of course, we gained a point on them. The gap was down to 3, and unfortunately for us, Sheffield United went to our northeast neighbours and took all 3 points. But in controversial circumstances, this was not a good game for the referee. Sunderland took the lead. All Boro fans who were supporting Sunderland for one night and one night only were ecstatic, but exactly like in the Boro game, Sheffield United nicked an equaliser right on half-time. Again, I was thinking if Sunderland can just get in at half-time 1-0 up, it's a different game. They didn't, and they equalised 1 each. And then in the second half, Sunderland conceded again, and Sheffield United went ahead and clung on to the equaliser. Now, the reason why I say the referee had a bad game is possibly Sunderland should have had a penalty in the first half, a potential handball for Sander Berger. Not too sure if his arms were too close to the ball. His arms were in an unnatural position, but he wasn't looking at the ball, so I don't know how intent it was that he handballed it, but the rule is if your hands are in an unnatural position and you handball it, it's a penalty, like when we got the penalty against Reading, and the ref didn't give it. So Sunderland argue they should have had a penalty, but not too long later, Trey Hume got a booking for what I think should have been a red card. A very, very nasty tackle on Ndiaye. Should have put Sunderland down at 10 men, but it didn't. But the biggest of all was Sheffield United's second goal. Free kick. Two players were miles offside. Even if they touched it, even if they didn't, they're interrupting play in the keeper's eye line, preventing him from knowing whether to come out and save or not. And it was offside, simple as that. So Sheffield United's goal, second goal, winning goal, was offside. So they've got away with one there in the sense that they've won the game, despite a poor refereeing decision from the linesman and the referee, who just had a bad game all around. So what that does for the Championship then is it does allow Sheffield United to regain a 6-point gap to the Boro. It could have been smaller if Boro had won last night. It could have remained at 3, but with us dropping points and Sheffield United winning, unfortunately the gap is back up to 6, which again isn't unsurmountable. It is a bit of a cushion though, which we can't afford to get any bigger. I feel like when we brought the gap down from, I think it was 7 to 4, I felt like we were right in reach then. 7, I feel like it's on the tipping point of if it exceeds any more than 7, maybe goes up to 8, 9, 10, then I think we're massive outsiders. So we've been put back in the position of we can't really afford to drop points, especially lose a game at the moment with the gap. So yeah, it's not great, but like I said, Boro aren't going to win them all. Sheffield United aren't going to win them all. There's going to be twists and turns, and we need to just keep doing what we're doing and hope the gap will close up. But we also need to keep our eye over our shoulder, because Luton Town won again. They beat Bristol City by 1-0 with a Carlton Morris goal early in that one, and Blackburn beat Reading at home 2-1 as well. So they've both picked up 3 points, as did Millwall on Tuesday night. So the gap to us has closed up for all 3 of them sides. We're only 1 point ahead of Luton, 3 ahead of Blackburn, and 4 ahead of Millwall. Crucially though, Norwich dropped points to Huddersfield, who are right down the bottom of the league. West Brom dropped points to Cardiff, who were also right down the bottom. So in a sense, it's been a good day for all the teams in the playoffs, with a 4-point cushion from Millwall to Norwich, and crucially a 8-point cushion between us and Norwich, which is massive. So we're still more than comfortably in the playoffs. If this was the playoff race tomorrow, I'd be more than comfortable Boro would go on and win it. But still, I think the top 2 is still on. I don't think Sheffield United were again all that convincing. Sunderland aren't a great team at home, and on another day they'd have got something from that game. So yeah, we'll just push on. Next up for us is Preston North End at home at the weekend, and to be fair, Preston are a good away side. I think they've got one of the best away records in the league. Emil Rees is injured, which is a good thing for us because he always scores against Boro, but in terms of their form, Preston are doing quite well. They're unbeaten in their last 5 at least, getting wins against Wigan, drawing against Coventry, getting a good point away at Watford, which is something we need to look out for, as well as going to Rotherham and winning. Of course, Rotherham and Cardiff, and Wigan aren't massive victories. They're not victories that you could say are worth shouting about too much. But yeah, you've got to say for Preston, they're in decent form, better form than they've been in for most of the season. I wouldn't say they've found consistency as such, but yeah, they're going to come to the Riverside in decent confidence. They were in a run of consecutive defeats, but they seem to have stopped the rot a little bit, and they've only conceded 1 goal in their last 5 and only 2 goals in their last 6. So defensively, they seem to have turned a corner. They're kind of in mid-table with nothing to play for, which I always feel makes teams a little bit more dangerous. So this is going to be another game that Boro need to be on it. If we're not on it, there's every chance we could struggle. So yeah, I predict Boro will get a win here. I feel like if we want to be serious about automatic promotion, these are the games we have to be winning. I feel like it's going to be tough. Again, it's not going to be easy, but with Boro's trend of coming, back from tough fixtures and under par performances and coming back with a bang and performing really well next time out, I feel like I think we're going to get back on track here. Like I said, I'm going to go with a similar prediction to what I had against Stoke. I think it'll be a 1-0, 2-0. I don't think we'll absolutely run riot over Preston. I think they're too solid for that, but I don't think they'll trouble us too much at the other end. So I don't think there'll be too many goals in this one, but I'm going to say Boro to win 1 or 2-0. And of course, Sheffield United do not play in the league this weekend. They play in the Cup. So the least Boro can do is close the gap back down to 3 points. Of course, Sheffield United do have a game in hand. They will have a game in hand following that, but they don't play in the league now until they're back from the international break when they travel to Norwich, which, to be honest with you, is a game that could literally go any which way. But we can't win them all, so we're going to leave it there. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, do hit the like button, subscribe for more, and do hit the bell so you never miss an episode of Project Boro. I do game reviews following every game. I also do career mode content on FIFA, as well as other games like F1, and we'll have some really awesome stuff coming in the future too on the channel, both football content related and gaming content, so do stick around if that's something of your interest. Like I mentioned earlier, please do go and follow and check out the Boro Breakdown podcast, a great podcast that I do creative work for, and they are the best Boro pundits out there, so go and check that out if you haven't already. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you all next time.